Is $12,000 not enough for your house? Well, come on down to Kaitlin Bennett's bullshittery and you will find the poop that you need. LOL. Come on, guys. Basically, Kaitlin Bennett is going on a rant about how she thinks the relief effort for the C virus is a socialist agenda of sort of bullshit, and how somehow this is going to hurt the taxpayer, and when the majority of most Americans don't pay less than $10,000 in taxes anyways. Oh, Kaitlin. Oh, Kaitlin. Oh, Kaitlin. Oh, Kaitlin, oh, Kaitlin, oh, Kaitlin, please. Please. You see, Kaitlin Bennett is just another one of those people you would just wish would shut up. I know. I mean, we all know she poops her pants, and it's pretty clear. But I mean, come on. What she's got to do in this video, it's just ridiculous, dude. Just ridiculous.
You're probably so thrilled to hear that you can get $1,200 from the government because the stimulus bill just passed. And you might be so happy to hear that the government is finally helping the American people, right? Well, not so fast. Before you get giddy about your $1,200, you should probably be aware of all the harm this bill is going to do to your wallet and how Washington is using your hardship to benefit themselves. This is the most expensive spending bill in U.S. history, and 91% of the money will go to special interests instead of hard-working Americans like you.
Didn't I tell you? She was going to... Didn't I tell you? She was going to pull the socialism card? Yeah, she fucking did it. She fucking did it. We knew she was going to do it. We knew she was going to pull the socialism card. And she did it. She doesn't know what socialism is, and she pulled the socialism card. Obviously, she's going to the McCarthyism crap, but she doesn't know what socialism is. She claims to know what socialism is, but she doesn't, and it's just so funny. So funny. Oh, and I don't like the Liberty Hangout thing neither. I think mine's a little bit better than hers. The whole get-up that she has is just kind of bullshit to me. Mine's a little bit better to me. It's just kind of like enticing that she's doing this. Mine isn't really that much enticing, but it's still out there, you know? But mine's a little bit better, I think. But yes, I really would like to know how much this is going to hurt my wallet, because I've been on SSI all my life. And I can tell you this, it hasn't done anything to me at all. It hasn't taken away my money from me as far as taxes go. So Bennett is wrong. It hasn't done anything. No, if the government takes your money without warrant and it's not granted under the Constitution via taxes, then you can challenge it under the 14th Amendment in the judicial system, and trust me, you will win every single time, as it's considered unconstitutional under Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, because it abridges your life, liberty, and happiness as a human being. See what I'm saying? It is an unconstitutional law. So, that is something that Kaitlin Bennett doesn't understand. That is something that conservatives don't understand. I don't know why, but it is there. This is what gets to me about conservatives. They believe that taxation is theft, but they won't challenge that in the court system because they know it's not theft. So in a way, they believe it's theft, but they also believe it's not theft. Because they know it's not theft. Which means it's a contradictory belief system. What the fuck? Well, why do they have this belief system? Why does Kaitlin Bennett believe, in one sense, that it's theft, but also believe that it's not theft? How the fuck can you believe the same thing? Blows my mind.
So you're probably all aware by now that President Donald Trump just signed a historic $2 trillion relief bill to help the country as we deal with the C word. You know, the only thing that's going on right now, but we can't even talk about it without putting our channel at risk. Thanks, YouTube. The bill is meant to provide Americans with assistance as the economy takes a turn for the worse during this crisis. However, it's actually going to do exactly the opposite. But before I go into detail about how this bill...
All I want is for Kaitlin Bennett to name me one expert who disagrees and thinks that the stimulus package is bad for Americans or for the United States in general, because you know she is not going to find a single one of them. She's not going to find a single one of them, and I can tell you why. Because when you give money to Americans, they put it back in the economy. They spend more money back in the economy. When they're given free money, they spend it. That's what conservatives don't understand. When they're given money, they spend it. You see what I'm saying? That was the whole system with UBI. And UBI is a capitalist thing. You see, in socialism, we wouldn't have money at all. In communism, which is what she thinks this is, which is what she thinks giving money is, we wouldn't have money. Because money doesn't exist in communism. Everybody owns the means of production and the things that are produced in communism. So, the thing is that money would cease to exist in communism. And conservatives can't grasp that concept. They think that money has to, it's like this system that has to exist, an inevitable factor, because it can't exist in any world, period, to them. Like, there is no world that can ever exist without money. In order, according to conservatives. It's weird that that they can't conceive in their minds about how a world could exist without money. That's the funny thing. See, even in today's society, and let's say you live in Louisiana and you live in Orleans Parish or Orleans County, whatever you want to call it, outside Louisiana, you're not going to be able to live off of $1,200. That's the thing. Because it costs more than $1,200 to live. And the same thing can be said for places like in Los Angeles. It costs in Los Angeles $2,000 for a room. But in places like Kalamazoo, Missouri, yeah, you may be able to afford it. But in Los Angeles, it's $2,000 for a room the size of this garage. $1,200 doesn't pay enough for a room like that in Los Angeles or New Orleans. It may in a rural area, but it doesn't in New Orleans, and it doesn't in Los Angeles. And that's the other thing that conservatives don't get. Because it doesn't pay shit. It doesn't even pay half of your rent. Or barely half of your rent. In some areas. And that's the fucked up part about things. I don't mean saying it wrong. I know I have schizophrenia. But here's the thing. I wonder why conservatives have such brains that are like Homer Simpson. Oh my God. I'll be honest, I'm not shilling for Kaitlin Bennett. I'm not shilling for Kaitlin Bennett. No. Not doing that. I know a lot of other YouTubers have said the same thing, but that is seriously me. I'm not doing that.
Friday, March 27, 3 weeks after the C word has infected over 100,000 Americans and taken a toll on our economy, President Trump signed a $2 trillion relief bill. However, the vote in the House was nearly delayed after Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie tried to force a full yes or no vote on the measure, instead of letting it pass through Congress with simple shouts of yay or nay, also known as a voice vote. On Friday, Massie explained to reporters why he felt so strongly about this.
If they're telling people to drive a truck, if they're telling people to bag groceries and grow their food, by golly, they can be in there and they can vote. The truth, if you're willing to report it, is they don't want a recorded vote. They don't want to be on record of making the biggest mistake in history.
So Massie's initiative to force a vote failed and the bill passed anyway, leading to...
Yeah, Kaitlin, do you want to know why the Democrats were holding up the bill? I could tell you why. It's because the original bill left out disabled people, retirees, and those who cannot pay taxes because they are extremely high risk to the C virus. Should also let you know that some disabled people who are on supplemental security income who are claimed as dependents, even though for other reasons financially, they still are not going to be able to get their coronavirus relief checks. Even with the Democrats obviously doing what is necessary. This bill was held up because it left people out. Okay? It left people out who were medically in need of that check, who were in financial need of that check, and some people who are still in financial need of government aid. People who are on disability, like I said. People who would have benefited from this. And people who in some sense require a lot more than what they get from SSA and from other organizations in the government in some way. When of course you put in critiques of the SSA. Because obviously when you look at other disabilities, there's a whole shit a ton of reasons to why you should get more money from the government, especially when you have disabilities like schizophrenia, because some states, like Louisiana, openly endorse ableism through the law against people with serious mental disabilities, abridging the 14th Amendment. And make it to where people with disabilities like schizophrenia desperately need financial stability through some means. And of course, if the government is able to provide through other means, than just $1,000 a month, which $1,000 a month doesn't get shit, as we all know. As I stated before, it doesn't get you anything. It only pays for a run. You understand what I'm saying? But it's because of Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren that some people on disabilities may get benefits. Now, of course, not everybody is going to get them, which is a shame, because everybody should get them regardless of their dependency status. They should still get this SSA relief check regardless of what's going on, period, or relief check regardless. It doesn't matter, but it is what it is. We can see the reasons.
That is why we're pushing to include in Congress's next stimulus package a $200 increase in the monthly benefits for all Social Security veterans, Supplemental Security Income, SSI, beneficiaries through the end of 2021. This will put about $4,000 in the pockets of all senior citizens, people with disabilities who have earned this benefit by contributing to Social Security with every paycheck. A simple benefit like this will help improve the lives of millions of Americans and help our economy stabilize and recover. This is from CNBC.com and the U.S. Senator named Elizabeth Warren, who is, of course, a Democrat. And yes, of course, we all know Kaitlin Bennett is not going to believe that Senator Warren wrote this, or that Senator Warren is in support of course, stimulating or giving anybody any sort of money. But obviously she is, and Bernie Sanders is too. And you will see that here too.
Now I find that some of my Republican colleagues are very distressed. They're very upset that somebody who's making $10, $12 an hour might end up with a paycheck for 4 months more than they received last week. Oh my God, the universe is collapsing. Imagine that. Somebody who's making $12 an hour, now like the rest of us, faces an unprecedented economic crisis with the $600 on top of their regular unemployment check, might be making a few bucks more for 4 months. Oh my word! Will the universe survive? How absurd and wrong is that? What kind of value system is that? Meanwhile, these very same folks had no problem a couple of years ago voting for $1 trillion in tax breaks for billionaires and large profitable corporations. Not a problem. But when it comes to low-income workers in the midst of a terrible crisis, maybe some of them earning or having more money than they previously made, oh my word, we got to strip that out. Got to tell those poor people that no matter what. By the way, when the McConnell bill first came up, unbelievably, and I know many Republicans objected to this, they were saying that, well, we want to give whatever it was, $1,000 or $1,200, but poor people should get less. You see, because poor people are down here, they don't deserve, they don't eat, they don't pay rent, they don't go to the doctor, they're somehow inferior because they're poor, we're going to give them less. Well, that was addressed. Now everybody is going to get the $1,200, but some of my Republican friends still have not given up on the need to punish the poor and working people. You haven't raised the minimum wage in 10 years. Minimum wage should be at least $15 an hour. You haven't done that. You've cut program after program after program, and now, horror of horrors, for 4 months, workers might be earning a few bucks more than they otherwise went. Well, needless to say, this is an amendment that is coming up. I don't think it's going to go very far. And if it does go far, I will introduce an amendment to deal with the corporate welfare, the $500 billion in corporate welfare, which is, to me, a very serious problem. But I do not think they're going to get the 60 votes.
Massey's initiative to force a vote failed, and the bill passed anyway, leading to President Trump viciously attacking Massey on Twitter, calling him a third-rate grandstander that should be thrown out of the Republican Party. Trump even took sides with Obama's Secretary of State John Kerry, who called Massey a masshole. But before we blindly support this bill because President Trump signed it, we need to not be like Nancy Pelosi and actually read what's in it.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Yeah, let's not be like Nancy Pelosi and throw it aside and call it socialism. Really, Kaitlin Bennett. Fuck, I'm just cringing at another video again. Huh? Really?
Partisan legislation signed into law by President Trump would provide $1,200 payments to adults with annual incomes up to $75,000 plus another $500 per child. Some Americans earning more than $75,000 would also receive money if they meet certain qualifications outlined below. So right off the bat, we see that not even every single American will qualify for relief, even though literally the entire country is affected by this crisis. How is that fair? That means that hardworking Americans who pay tens of thousands of dollars every year in taxes will not see a single penny from this.
Oh my god, Kaitlin Bennett, you're right. There's a lot of money going to fucking shit. It's like Walmart, and like JP Morgan, and like Morgan Stanley, and like Donald Trump. But are you complaining about those people? No. I'm pretty sure you're complaining about public institutions that receive taxpayer dollars regardless of coronavirus, well, C-virus, I should say. I guess it doesn't matter. Stimulus package, no matter what, anyways. They receive taxpayer dollars anyways, but you still complain about that because they're receiving taxpayer dollars, period. How nice of you, Kaitlin Bennett, to complain about institutions that receive taxpayer dollars no matter what's going on. Because it's not the coronavirus relief checks that you're complaining about, it's the taxpayer dollars that you're complaining about. That's what I know. Tons of money went to Walmart, Google, Ford, Apple, Target, Microsoft, places like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, all to prop up the bottom line of Wall Street. So it looks like their bottom line isn't dropping. And yet you're sitting here complaining about places that are that receive taxpayer funding anyways. I know you're going to complain about schools, because that's done in this video. Public schools, because that's done in this video. I know you're going to complain about some stuff, racist stuff, taxpayer dollars that go to Native American organizations, which they're supposed to go to Native American organizations, but you're going to complain about that too, and you're going to obviously bring up Elizabeth Warren, which yes, of course she's not a Native American, but you're still going to bring up Elizabeth Warren. You racist piece of shit. You racist piece of shit. Yes, I know Elizabeth Warren is not a Native American, but you still were wrong for doing what you did in this video.
From this. In the United States, there are 157 million people in the workforce. If every single person qualified for relief and we multiplied 157 million by 1,200, that would only come out to $188 billion in aid. If we assume that all 327 million Americans were getting a check from the government, that would still only account for $392 billion. So even if every single American were getting a $1,200 check, which we know won't happen, that wouldn't even account for a fifth of the spending bill. And if only every working American got a $1,200 check, which we also know will not happen since you have to make less than $75,000, that would make up only 9% of the spending bill. Even if you include $500 for all 74 million children in this country, that only adds an additional $3 billion in aid, which is so negligible that it still keeps the relief at under 10%. So why is this being touted as a relief bill when the American people are getting the short end of the stick? And what is the other 90?
Not even one time did she mention about how it's a bad thing that some people who are disabled aren't getting the funding that they should be getting because some family members had claimed dependency over them. Not once. Not once has she mentioned about how Donald Trump at first was going to cut other disabled people out of this. Not once has she mentioned about how Donald Trump was going to cut retirees out of this. Not once has she mentioned about how Donald Trump planned on benefiting from this. Not once has she mentioned about how Donald Trump has given all these major tax breaks to major Wall Street companies and different stuff like that, just so they can do big, massive stock buybacks again, just like what happened in 2008, all over again, just so it could fucking happen again, and we could have another big-ass crash. Not even once is she complaining about that. But that's exactly what is going on, and she's not complaining about it. She's not complaining about it. Not once. No. Her complaint is the schools are getting taxpayer money, even though they're public schools, and of course they will receive taxpayer money anyways.
So why is this being touted as a relief bill when the American people are getting the short end of the stick? And what is the other 91% of the spending bill going towards? You're going to feel disgusted and betrayed when you hear all of this. Let's take a look at where our tax dollars are going during this crisis. $7.5 million would go to the Smithsonian Institute. It's just so important during this crisis that we make sure a museum in Washington, D.C. is getting our hard-earned tax dollars instead of you, the hardworking American who lost their job because of this. $25 million would go to the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Why worry about putting food on your...
See what I mean? Complaining about the schools. Complaining about the schools. School of Arts. She's complaining about the School of Arts. Public School of Arts getting taxpayer funding. Even though they would have got taxpayer funding regardless of the coronavirus stimulus package. They would have gotten taxpayer funding regardless of what's happening.
Your table when ballerinas in Washington, D.C. need to do some twirls. $75 million would go towards the National Endowment for the Arts. Because what could possibly be more important right now during this crisis than promoting the arts, right? $75 million would go to the National Endowment for the Humanities. I've literally never even heard of the NEH until this bill. So I guess if there's one thing we can thank Congress for, it's for making us aware of all these youth.
This is what basically makes me mad, because she's saying that schools should be closed. Places of learning should be closed because they are receiving taxpayer dollars. Kaitlin, what the fuck? I have to kind of say, what kind of person is Kaitlin Bennett to say this sort of stuff? But then again, what kind of person brings a gun to school? In her own school. For her own graduation. And actually becomes a terrorist threat. when she's at school. That's another problem.
Useless departments that we should definitely get rid of. Another $75 million would go to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And you know who that includes? NPR. And you know what NPR is doing? They're refusing to air President Trump's press briefings due to a pattern of false or misleading information provided that cannot be fact-checked in real time. So, let me get this straight. Trump signed off on a bill that will pay NPR millions of dollars just so they can refuse.
Basically, Kaitlin Bennett here is complaining because NPR, which is a publicly funded organization, publicly funded news, by our standards, just like PBS, stop covering Trump's misinformation. Stop covering Trump's fake news. So she's mad because NPR, which didn't want to cover fake news, is receiving taxpayer dollars. Sounds to me like she's dog whistling. Sounds to me like this whole idea of coronavirus stimulus is now turning into a dog whistle. For I don't want my tax dollars going to said organization or whatever because I believe taxation is theft, when taxation, I know and believe, is not theft, which is a contradictory belief system.
Relief bill. $258 million would go to international disaster assistance.
She complains about where we should be sending money to, but she doesn't complain about where we shouldn't be sending money to. Get the picture here? Like, she doesn't complain about the money going to JP Morgan and the money going to Donald Trump, all the big tax breaks and shit like that. She doesn't complain about all that crap. She doesn't complain about all the Wall Street buyback business. She doesn't complain about any of that crap. No. What she does complain about is publicly funded corporations, publicly not corporations, but publicly funded institutions that would have received public money, regardless of the stimulus package, no matter what it is, getting money. That's the issue with Kaitlin Bennett, and it's been the whole issue throughout this entire fucking video. You see? So, I don't know.
Because America's responsibility during this crisis should definitely be other countries, right? This one is really gonna tick you guys off. $350 million would go towards migration and refugee assistance, aka literally everything Trump has.
Trump is a dipshit that should never have been against immigration in the first place. He should have just said, you know, yeah, let some people in. Let's make it easier for immigrants to come in the country instead of harder, because in a way, they're still going to come in the country illegally. If you close the borders, they're still going to cross the borders anyways. Build the wall, they're going to climb over it. Build a wall, they're going to tunnel underneath it. Build a wall, they're just going to, you know, take a boat and you know, swim around it. What you going to do, shoot them? Come on. Don't be stupid. Don't be fucking stupid. 2,405 deaths. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 2,005 deaths. 2,405 deaths, I meant to say. Nah. No. No, 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 no. Please no. Don't say that Trump is actually doing something good with this virus. 140,904 cases. Really? Are you really kidding me? 140,000 people are sick from this virus. Really? And over 2,000 are dead. Do not say that well, this is when I wrote the script. Do not say, I think there's over 30,000 deaths now. Do not say that Trump is doing something good. Okay? But yes, it was over 30,000 when I originally wrote the script. Well, 30,000 now, not 2,000 when I wrote the script, 30,000 now, I meant to say. Excuse me.
I can't even get back the money for my flight to my own wedding that the government canceled. This next one really makes no sense to me at all. $453 million will go to the operation of Indian programs. $300 million will go to Native American programs. $100 million will be made available for grants to Indian tribes under the Indian Community Development Block Grant. $69 million will go to the operation of Indian education programs, $5 million to the Office of Public and Indian Housing, $1 billion will go to Indian Health Services, and $1.2 billion will go to tenant-based rental assistance for public and Indian housing.
God, do you know who Kaitlin Bennett reminds me of? The character from Harry Potter named Dolores Umbridge. Dolores Umbridge. You know, the bitch who had like the purple and pink clothes, who had all those cats on the plate that would move around, and she like tried to torture Harry, you know, at the end of the Order of the Phoenix or whatever, but she wasn't able to do so with it. That bitch. That's who Kaitlin Bennett reminds me of. Dolores Umbridge. She kind of is a Dolores Umbridge.
Is an issue of ministry security. You leave me with no alternative. The Cruciatus curse ought to loosen your tongue.
That's illegal. What Cornelius doesn't know won't hurt him.
Tell her, Harry!
Tell me what? Well, if you won't tell her where it is, I will.
Look at some of the wasteful departments this bill is going towards. Visit KaitlinBennett.org if you want to get some really cool shirts or health supplements to keep your immune system strong during these uncertain times. There are really awesome products there that will fit all of your needs and keep your body in the best shape. Let's look at some of the wasteful government departments this bill is going towards. A whopping $30 billion will go to the Department of Education for an Education Stabilization Fund. $10 billion will go to the Federal Aviation Administration. $250 million will go to the IRS, as if they don't steal enough of our money every year anyway. $400 million will go to election security grants. $200 million will go to the FCC. $275 million will go to the Federal Buildings Fund. The Department of Homeland Security will get $178 million. The TSA will get
Okay, she really got racist in this video. But I'm not going to show that. But to me, the thing is, everything in this video that she complained about is already federally funded by our tax dollars, regardless of the coronavirus stimulus package. So, they were paid for before the coronavirus stimulus package and without the coronavirus stimulus package. So it wouldn't have made a difference. So, to me, this is all a dog whistle, like I said before, about the fact that she doesn't want certain people to receive tax dollars. That's all this is. That is all this whole fucking thing is. She just doesn't want certain people to receive government funding. Period. Well, I'm sorry, Kaitlin Bennett, but because you said that, now more people need to get government funding because you said that. I know I can be a piece of shit for saying that, but still, we'll say that. See, I'm saying it now. Kaitlin Bennett wants to bring us back to the Dark Ages. And that's why I said what I said. That we need more government funding because of Kaitlin Bennett. Because of people like Kaitlin Bennett. This is why we don't need them involved in politics, period. No, she does not want to cure the virus. She'd just rather people not get money from the government. Because it's the whole conservative viewpoint that the government is not meant to pay you money, the government's not meant to support you at all, when of course you can't support yourself sometimes. And you need the government to support you. I'm face-bombing because some people need the government to support them. And that's what Kaitlin Bennett doesn't understand. That's what a lot of conservatives don't understand. That's why conservatism is a bullshit idea. Period. See, I want to, in a way, help people. She does not. Or at least, that's the way she puts it. The way she shows herself to be. She wants to bring us back to the Dark Ages, where viruses, as I said in the last video, were rampant. Crazy. I know, crazy. Bullshit and crazy. I got a little remote to deal with this video myself. Kind of funny, you know, I can just scroll through and read my script through this thing. So, comrades, let's not be like Kaitlin Bennett. Let's be nice to each other, and let's be civil. Let's do responsible change and change the system where we need to. Let's get Donald Trump out of office and do things correctly. And if you have family that work in the medical field, please be supportive of them. The hospitals need as much attention as we can get. Obviously, they're taking care of people that are very, very sick, very, very in a bad condition. Obviously, with this coronavirus, people are dying constantly. It's not looking good. Like I said, I think it's over 30,000 deaths now. That's what the estimate is now. When I'm recording this, when I wrote the script, it was 2,000. I wrote the script like about 2 weeks ago, so it's been pushed off. I don't mean to say it wrong. I had some technical difficulties with my computer and some other stuff that's been pushing back this whole entire project. But now it's like up to 30,000 deaths, I think. So a lot of people are dying in the hospitals right now, and the hospital providers are doing the best that they can do with what they have. And if you have family that work within the hospitals, you need to be supportive of them. Do what you can do. And right now, it's just a terrible time because our medical system is not stable at this point. And it's hard. It's hard, especially if you have disabilities. It's hard if you rely upon the medical system. It's hard for a lot of different things. So please be supportive of them. If you wish to follow me, you can follow me on my Twitter at AnamAtheist17. You can follow me on my Patreon. You can donate to me on Patreon. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, my Twitch, and all those things. All that stuff is in the description. Thank you, peace out, and have a good day, comrades. I'm going to take this mask off.